my Instagram up. We are live. Welcome back to Talk Live, ladies and gentlemen. Back live again. Tell a friend. We are back and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. Let me just get this and there and live and start. All right, we are back and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Talk Live, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. We are back and we are live here. Great to be back, ladies and gentlemen. I had to take some time off due to some family issues. Some families were in town for my aunt's funeral. Aunt Pauline, R.I.P. Not dry in the house, including mine. So I appreciate you guys staying with me for that hiatus. And also, I had some business to attend to. So again, it was a really, really busy week. But we are back and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live on IG, YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We are here with the NBA playoffs in the background. And also in the foreground, we have myself, yes, indeed. And also in the background, we have Myron on the campus of USC answering questions. Fantastic, doing fantastic things out there. Some of the stuff we had to deal with today was horrendous. But I implore you after this to check out his live feed if you are here live with me on Talk Live. But let's get back into it, ladies and gentlemen. While I was away, we had a few things popping off, including the likes of Tracee Ellis Ross just showing her true colors on the Michelle Obama podcast and how her life has devolved into these random relationships that she may have. And this is to her own doing. This is of her own doing. She had a chance in which to save herself, save her family name, but unfortunately, she decided to go the feminist individualist route, not having children, not having a legacy unto herself, and quite simply, with all of her airs, graces, and advantages, being a failure as a woman, quite simply. She had the opportunity to, she's made a success for herself in terms of her career, absolutely. She's a famous actress, but again, Lord knows that, help was indeed involved, as with any sort of life with a famous child, with a child of a famous parent. You're going to get some nepotism involved there, but she has used it to her fullest. She has exploited set advantages, but what she hadn't done is create a legacy for herself, and she will indeed, as of this point, die alone with her shameless shameless memories in tow. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Tracee Ellis Ross is a failure of a woman. And we're going to get into this straight away with a few with bits of help. So let me go to the browser. Bang. And let's get into, yes, indeed, get into this scene here. We're going to first go with the Poor Man Podcast video. Poor Man Podcast doing wonderful things in YouTube streets. Subscribe to Poor Man Podcast. But he did a video on this subject a couple of days back that I thought was very informative, very, very enlightening. So we're going to get into this right now and Talk Live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Of course, I'll give my commentary as we go along here. But thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live.
I would love a relationship that makes my life better than it is. I have no interest in just being in a relationship to be in a relationship. I could have a wheel of lovers. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, you stop going into...
Even Kevin Hart had to tell her, stop being a hoe. Could you please stop being a hoe for the cameras? It does not put you in a good light at all. But she couldn't help herself, could she? Let's continue.
I'll be like, I take what I like and I leave the rest. I say, thank you and goodbye.
Stop going.
I say, thank you, sir.
You're not at a jazz bar.
I am at a jazz bar.
You're at a jazz bar.
Oh, I just spent, I'm like.
No, that's not, no man is there. Stop. That's why you're not
That's why,
them.
no.
Because you keep going to the jazz bar.
I went to the jazz bar and I went.
She went to the jazz bar, ladies and gentlemen. The jazz bar is, as they say, the sea carousel, if you know what I mean. She went to the sea carousel. She had a good time. She was mildly well, enraptured by the going around of the Ferris wheel. And quite simply, yeah, that's how she gets her. That's how she gets her kicks, ladies and gentlemen. That's how she gets her kicks, if you know what I mean. Let's.
And a man came and I said, "Who are you?" And he said, and I said, "I don't know that language."
And that's different. I don't know that we're gonna lose that. I think women, we're used to having a say in our lives.
Yeah.
And I don't know
well,
whether
that's always been a thing. Modern women think that they have this new thing figured out and that women in the past didn't have a say in their lives, and it's just not true. If you pick up any history book ever, you'll find women who decided to not have kids, and that was just their prerogative. That was their choice. Now, people would tell them that having a family is important, and that was the common consensus in that time. But if they didn't want to have children, they could just opt out of having children. This whole idea that's been promoted by feminism that women were just tied up in chains and forced to have children is not true. Oftentimes, women prioritize the family because they seen the family as more important than just being a lifeless labor unit at Amazon. But that was their prerogative. They believed in family. Now, modern women have been convinced, number one, by capitalists, because the feminist movement, if you actually look into it, wasn't just women with picket signs protesting. It was $1 billion propaganda that was pushed by big major corporations in order to take women out of the family and push them into the workforce. And it
Very true there from Poor Man Podcast. Again, keeping it real as always. That's right. From Cosmopolitan Magazine, the editors, the former editors of Cosmopolitan Magazine that pushed for, that advocated silently yet publicly for women to get into the workforce. It was indeed to get them out of the kitchen into the workforce, but yet most of these cosmopolitan women were married. They were considered traditional women for their husbands. Yes, they had these jobs, they had these careers for themselves in publishing. However, at the end of the day, yeah, they were seen in today's ideas as traditional wives. Absolutely, they did. And so we are here left with the remnants of said decisions to a point where black women, unfortunately, have bought in hook, line, and sinker, and now they're the least married and most divorced, to be fair. Let's continue.
It worked. The capitalists wanted to take women out of the family for three major reasons. It was to double the workforce, to stagnate wages, because if you have more people looking for the jobs, the wages, they don't have to pay as much. And three, to grow GDP. And this is coming from a person that loves capitalism. I think that every system is flawed, but I think capitalism is one of the best ones that we found today. And I like capitalism, but one of my criticisms of capitalism is pushing women into the workforce, and women ate it up and became the good capitalists that they should be. Feminism is just capitalism with man-hating. Feminists have been...
Absolutely true. Yes, indeed. They wanted to push up GDP. They wanted to allow for division of labor so that they can keep the cost of labor low. That's why where you see most male careers in terms of the dirty, dangerous, the jobs, infrastructure, construction, the jobs that move society forward. Most of those wages have stayed steady from the 60s. However, from the 60s to today. However, till now, in terms of air-conditioned jobs like jobs in jobs like lawyers, jobs like psychiatrists, jobs like social workers, jobs like teachers, jobs where women share the workforce with men. Those jobs and their salaries have conditionally lowered over time, simply because women have entered said workforce and therefore increased competition and thus have wages. Let's continue.
Taught that they're going to destroy the patriarchy by jumping into the workforce and adding to said patriarchy. In an attempt to destroy the patriarchy, they're really just destroying themselves, and the only people who are benefiting from this current system are the corporations, and it makes sense because that's how it was supposed to go in the first place. Women have always had a choice throughout history. It's just that modern women have chosen capitalism over family.
And that is indeed the problem with Tracee Ellis Wash. She bought full hook, line, and sinker into it. She bought into this feminist ideal. She thought that not only was she as good as a man, she thought she was better than a man, and that no man could indeed match up to her. And for that, men saw her as being a for recreational use only lady, and their job was to give her the gratification that she wanted and leave her, because quite simply she was going to be a drag not only on resources but their mental health and well-being, to be fair and frank. So, no, I mean, listen, there's a reason why Tracee is alone, and it's not because of her choice, it's because of male's choice. Let's continue.
Whole movement is about sort of reharnessing us, you know.
Sure.
Whether it is it really about
And can that really
reproductive
work?
rights? Can that really work now that women are educated and we're being raised differently? I mean, the truth is that fathers are modernized.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
mostly
mostly they are. You know, and if you were to ask the average man, how are you raising your daughter? Because you love her. The average father that loves their daughter wants them to be excellent, you know, and they want them to have opportunity and freedom. I mean, when you think about you don't want your daughter saddle marrying some guy that chose her because he just didn't think about anything.
But this is silly, but I do agree with her that modern fathers are weak and they don't teach their daughters to be wives, and that's a big issue in modern times. I have a buddy of mine. He owns his own company, and he's owned his own company. I'm 29 now, so he's about 28, and he's owned his own company since he was 25. He was dating a woman that lived with him. And he was taking care of all of the bills and everything that she needed, but sometimes she would cook for herself and not cook for him. No, I don't think y'all understand. Let me say that again. This woman had a father who was in her life actively, and he had met her father before, and they were in good terms, and the father liked him too. But this woman would cook food in his house that he's paying for, also paying for the dates and paying to take care of anything that she needed. She would cook food in his house and not cook him anything. Do you understand how insane that is? And instead of her father stepping in and saying, this is a problem, you need to be reciprocating some value to this guy if you actually like this guy or he's going to leave you, the dad never said anything about it. So I do agree that in modern times, dads are raising their daughters up to be these same independent women, but these women are not going to get married. And then guys act surprised when their daughters are going out into the dating market and dudes are just sleeping with them and they're not committing to them. It's because you probably raised your daughter not to have any long-term characteristics to be a wife. And that's a big issue in modern times. People don't want...
An excellent point raised there by Poor Man's Podcast. Quite simply, he's hit the nail on the head. We have this double issue in terms of fathers not necessarily doing right by their female children by raising them not only to be a wife but also to realize that their life on the dating market, being the leaders of the dating market, are short-lived, very, very short-lived, and they need to secure a man of competence and intelligence quite quickly, or else they'll be hell to pay, especially when they hit their 30s. They need to secure this man, and I think this is the truth in terms of traditional spaces, in terms of traditional religions and races. I think the Muslim race is very much like this. I think that Hindu race is very much like this. I think that I think that the Christian church is teaching these ladies, especially in the Western world, they're teaching them that they don't need a man. They're teaching them the inspirational Bible, and with that comes the idea that women can grow and prosper on their own just because they want to have the female quotient. But as you know, men, as you may or may not know, men have left the church. Men have left the church en masse because they've chosen women over men. So that you don't see men in the church as you used to because you're teaching the prosperity Bible. That's what I'm trying to find out to women. And men have in turn left the church. So not only are men leaving the church, they're leaving their daughters with ill-equipped to handle high-value men, because at the end of the day, they're asking their daughters to put themselves first. And as you saw by the example put out there by Poor Man Podcast, a man who's paying all the bills may not be guaranteed of a home-cooked meal. May have to come home to a woman who's cooked for herself and not her man, which is outstandingly ridiculous. That would be treasonous, and that would be commensurate to an absolute breakup of the relationship. There'd be one warning, and once that one warning is up, she would have to go. She would have to literally go from that relationship because, again, women do not learn consequences. And it's clear that the Poor Man Podcast friend here didn't show consequences to her woman. I hope he did. I hope he doesn't have to deal with her didn't have to deal with her on a long-term basis. But this is a problem. This is a problem that women not only are not catering to the men, especially the men who are calm, intelligent, assertive, and who pay all the bills. They're not getting. I mean, they're victims of hoflation, but also the fact that there's a short timeline in which women can prosper from their trust fund, largesse, quite simply, because because women are trust fund babies in the fact that when they're 18, they get to rule the dating world for a certain amount of years, and while men have to build themselves, women can jump up on yachts and party with rich men themselves and can literally have control of the dating world. Have choice of the dating world, but one thing they have to realize that once they're in college, once they have to go through their should I say sexual enlightenment, they have to realize that this is a finite amount of time, and they must spend that sort of fortune wisely. And if they don't, then they can be left like as Tracee Ellis Ross has been left, and that is alone, destitute, and basically a mattress for men going forward. Let's continue.
I admit that, but yeah, there are a lot of dads that are foregoing teaching their daughters to be good wives, and I don't know why you wouldn't teach your son how to not treat a woman. You teach your son how to treat a woman, so why not teach your daughter how to treat a man? And I think that that's just lacking in modern society, and a lot of women are getting slept with and then getting put in the friend zone or the fuck zone where they're never going to get out of that because they don't have any characteristics for a long-term relationship. I think that's a big issue.
And who believes that her body is his choice.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I don't think a lot of leaders are thinking about that. You know?
Well, and they haven't been asked to, because I think it's not always a context that if it's an area that you don't have to think into.
Right.
But I think there is it is a genuine regular thought process for me. It's one of the reasons, I mean, we've talked about this, that often I date younger men. And a lot of it is because...
Let's stop on that, folks.
Okay. I caution you, because this is going to come in as key and as come in as how should I say? The confirmation of a prophet, who is yet to be named, and he called this. He called Tracee Ellis Ross out and called her out for as this will be her future, as because she went on in this sort of direction. She did not choose a man who was confident, intelligent, servant. She did not choose a high value man at all during her prime years. So she saw this as being her future, and Lord knows he was right. I'm not going to reveal who he is, but if you see. If you take a look at my YouTube page, you may get a guess as to who that person is. Let's continue.
Oh my God, we had a great dinner. We had a great dinner, by the way. We're across the table. Your husband goes, "But why?" And I said, "Well, maybe because I can."
Yes.
And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe because she can, and for Michelle Obama to be so facetious in her viewpoint of things, because believe me, listen, Michelle Obama does not want to be where Tracee Ellis Ross is. She does not want to be there. She chooses not to be there at all. At all does she want to be there. She doesn't want to be in the streets, still dating, still trying to bed younger men, and being used and abused, and being seen as a chew toy, quite simply. Being seen as a jump off, a lady of the night, just a good time, just a bit of fun, a good time. That's a good time, girl. For recreational use only. Believe me. Michelle Obama is very, very glad that she has a husband like Barack, who is quite simply was the leader of the free world, a 1% sort of guy, and has given her two beautiful young ladies in which to build her a legacy. She does not want to be in the streets with Tracee Ellis Ross because Tracee Ellis Ross is that person in and of herself. She's a succubus, and quite simply, I mean, she's built up a great career, but her reputation to men are it's non-existent. It's literally non-existent, and she's been seen as a good time girl, and I don't want my daughter to be seen as a good time girl like Tracee Ellis Ross is. But again, she had so many chances, believe me. So many chances not to do that, but she chose this route, and she is of free mind and free mind, will, and spirit to do that, and here we are. But let's continue.
This is what I'm saying. Tales from Tracee's.
Yeah,
It's fun.
She's 52 years old, and she's bragging about getting smashed and passed by 22-year-old men. Think about the level of immaturity. 52 years old, and there's no. I'm sorry to cut into what Portman Podcast has to say, but there is no glory in what Tracee Ellis Ross is doing. There is no glory. There is no glory. Let it be said, my dear ladies, there is no glory to what Tracee Ellis Ross is doing right now. Absolutely none. Absolutely no glory. What she is doing is besmirching her family name. And for her to be seen as a trollop, there's no glory in that. Absolutely no glory in that. Absolutely no glory in it. And Michelle sees it as a humorous some of her tales of men. But at the end of the day, she's trying to act like a man. But women cannot get glory from doing this as a woman. They can't. Sooner or later, they'll be considered hoes, and sooner or later, their reputation will be forever damaged by what she's doing. I would advocate no woman to go this route as Tracee Ellis Ross. And if you're doing it, keep it quiet. Do not let the world know that this is what you're doing. Do not let the world know, because the reputation will get around that indeed this is your life, and men catch wind of this, and they know what to do. They won't tell you what they're doing, but they know what to do. Believe me. Let's continue. Not organizing family events. You're not putting together recipes for your granddaughters to learn so that when they get a husband, they know how to maintain that man and feed their family in a healthy way that's going to give them longevity. Mm-hmm. You're not doing no family reunions. Out here getting recorded by some 22-year-old on a cell phone saying, like, look, this is the girl from Girlfriends, Tracee Ellis Ross, in my phone, and I get to call her anytime and get the cheeks. This is what you're bragging about. This is embarrassing. 52 years old. This is insane. And by the way, if a guy had this mentality about this situation, he would be told that they would be chanting for him to be locked up. If a 52-year-old man came out and said, I only date younger women, blah, 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 people would have an issue with that. See Leonardo DiCaprio. He's about the same age as Tracee Ellis Ross, or just underneath that. I think he just celebrated his 50th birthday. He just hit 50, if not 51. Leonardo DiCaprio is dating women half of his age. But you know what? And women are absolutely frying him because of it. But you know what? He shows no airs or graces. Because you know why? Because for a man to do that, he is glorified. That's one of the few double standards that men get the benefit from. The fact that they can bend many women at any age, and they're considered heroes, because it takes confident, intelligent assertiveness. You have to look smart. You have to dress smart. You have to smell good. You have to have charm. You have to have certain wit, certain flair, have a certain amount of money, a certain amount of gravitas, a certain amount of status in order to get those type of women. And for that, all men would shake a man's hand because of it. They would appreciate what a man had to do in order to bed these amount of women. These women it takes nothing for Tracee Ellis Ross to be bedded by 1,000 men. It takes nothing. It takes absolutely nothing. There's no glory in it, because it is one of the few things that women will be reviled for. But this is the thing that Tracee Ellis Ross is trying to do. She's trying to make being a woman of the night a thing. She's trying to make being a
being a bedwife, being a jump off, being a bit of fun, a good thing. But at the end of the day, it's not. She's trying to profess this so much, but she knows that she has failed as a woman. For you to come out and state that and regale in the tales of beddom with men, it's not the gracious and good thing to do as a woman. You know who does? You know who regales in such things? Well, prostitutes, unfortunately. And prostitutes aren't given the highest realms of society. But Tracee Ellis Ross insists that she is worthy of respect, worthy of dignity, worthy of simple reverence because of what she's doing, because she's living life on her terms. But at the end of the day, her terms are letting men know that, okay, she's one to be slept with, ladies and gentlemen. Do not wed this woman. Number one, her 3 pillars are gone. Youth, beauty, fertility are literally gone. And she's hanging on to beauty by a thread. You can see how she looks today. She looks like she's been worn out. She looks like it. Unfortunately, she looks like it. And with that, we have, and with her youth and fertility literally gone, they know that as a man, if you're going to wed this woman, if you're going to give her children, if she wants children at all, it's going to cost money, and I mean mega money. So she is seen as having little to no worth for men. Simple as that. Unless you're a man who's down on his luck, who needs a sugar mama in order to keep him going. That's the only way this woman has worth and value. And no woman wants to be with a man who needs a sugar mama. There it is. So here we are. For her to regale in the tales of her bedroom follies, it is, well, quite sickening. It is quite shameless that we have come to a society where a woman is regaling in the tales of her legalized prostitution, rather than having to talk about her being the center of her family, her building a legacy with her children and grandchildren, her being passing on, as Poor Man Podcast said, the details of her life, and her wisdom to young women, and letting them know what it takes to be a woman of worth, a woman of value, to not only themselves, but to men as well. Let's continue.
But because it's her, is no issue. And the reason why basically she's saying she's willing to date young men is because men have become, young men especially, have become so feminized that they don't have any expectations in their relationship. But it's okay, because that same feminization leads to them never committing. This is why you see marriage on the decline. So these guys, yeah, maybe they smashing Tracee Ellis Ross because she got the yams. But ain't none of these 22-year-olds looking to commit to you, and you think that it's a flex as a 52-year-old woman to be bragging about you have the attention of 22-year-olds? They'll sleep with anything as long as they can get their thing wet. That's what it's all about when you're a 22-year-old man. And with that being said, that's exactly what it is. You think that they're open and they care because they're sitting and listening, but all they doing is nodding until they get them cheeks, man. At that age, you're just doing and saying whatever it takes to sleep with women. As you get older, you start to have a little bit more standards. You start to not to be willing to lie because you value your peace more than you value coochie now. But at 22, them little boys just nodding and waving and saying whatever they need to say and listening to your sob story until they get the cheeks. And then you're never going to see them again. And even if she's talking about men in their 30s, it's the same thing. If men want to smash you, they'll sit there and nod and agree and say that they're open and they don't judge and believe in whatever you believe. But then ultimately, you're just going to end up in a zone where they just sleep with you because they realize that you have no characteristics for a long-term relationship. And this woman is 52 years old. Ain't no younger man who has a vision of starting a family going to commit to a 52-year-old woman who's not capable of having kids anymore. It's not a...
And that's absolutely true, as I just said. No man's willing to commit to a 52-year-old. Sorry, they're not. And I think women deep down understand this. And I think Michelle Obama understands this. Because Lord knows she does not want to be out in these streets again. No, she does not. She is very, very happy to have the Obama name. She is not changing that. She is with her high-value man, and Lord knows she is not divorcing him. Hell to the no. No, she's not. She is not going to leave that man for love nor money. She's happy to regale in all of the festivities of a Tracee Ellis Ross and all of her so-called conquests, but literally men are conquering her. Men aren't hoes, women are, for a reason. Anyways, men are homemakers, just to let you know. But anyways, it's you can see the difference in appearance here. It's just that, I mean, Michelle Obama is 10 years older, and you can see she's kept herself together way more than Tracee Ellis Ross. You can see that she has been to the travail. She has been bust down for years and years and years, and quite simply, it shows. It shows now, and it's amazing how she sees this as a victory, but it's not. I mean, you saw the video earlier with what was it? With Tory Hart. Corey Hart. No. With Mr. Hart and his video when he's literally telling his to Michelle to please act like a lady. Don't act like a hoe. Not on my channel, but she insists on doing it. And the fact of the matter is she didn't have to do it. 20 years ago, if she made certain decisions, she didn't have to do it. But now she's going on this slut walk. And you know what? Here are the parallels. You see a woman like Amber Rose, who has literally confessed to her sins and realized that she had the wrong path. But the Lord knows she's had two babies from two different daddies, so she knows what her life is destined about. But she realized the wrong she has caused, compared to Tracee Ellis Ross, who sees her life as a victory when it's a big old L. It's a huge L, ladies and gentlemen. It's just huge. It's just a big old L. And there's no... I mean, we're wasting our words with what we're doing here, but we're seeing Tracee Ellis Ross as a cautionary tale. Do not follow her, because she had every reason to be a successful wife. She had all the advantages of... and all the trappings of success, and all the trappings of wealth and of worth. She was the daughter of a superstar. She married into, she was a child of money. She was in the Hollywood bubble for years. She was allowed certain freedoms that most other women would die for. And yet, she wasted her money. She wasted her years, and now she's penniless. She's literally penniless, sitting here. Her worth is of little to no value. Her career, aside from her career, which is all well and good, she's a successful actress, but let's face it, she's a failure. She's failed as a woman. She's failed as a woman. She has not taken into account all the largesse she had, and I mean more so than any other woman. I say most women would not have the largesse of a Tracee Ellis Ross in their lifetime. And it's from a woman that she got that largesse for the most part. However, she chose to waste it, and it's such a shame. Such an absolute shame. Let's continue.
About the man that you can attract. It's about the man you can keep as a woman. And at 52 years old, you would think that she would have some understanding of that by now. It's crazy.
Okay, Tracy Tale.
But
I'm sorry.
But one of the reasons, though, that because I had to ask myself that question, I was like, what is this about?
Yeah.
Because I want a partner, and so often, and it's not just that I'm older. I'm also very embodied. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives.
You're not in charge of your life, dear. You are left to the vestiges of men. And the fact that you speak of this, it just fills us all men with some sort of glee, that this delusion that you carry on with, and it is so sad to see. Shout out to my man Kenneth. It is so sad to see that Tracee Ellis Ross carry on in this way, but we have to use this as a cautionary tale to most men, that to see her having a full life, quite simply, you are You are literally using. I mean, listen. You're a trampoline. I gotta say, you're a trampoline. Tracee Ellis Ross is a trampoline. Unfortunately, she has. She's been taken from pillar to post. She thinks she's lived a full life. She thinks she's a man. She's not. She is not a man. There's no glory in what she is doing as a woman. There's no glory. There's literally no glory. None. At the end of the day, she's a cat lady. At the end of the day, she will be alone. At the end of the day, you may see a cat eat her face while she is going through Kodokoshi. Look that up. Kodokoshi. And all because she only thought of herself and not thought of the future. Not thought of what she could bring to the world. And she thought of only her own self-gratification. And at the end of the day, she's going to pay a price for that. She is going to pay a price for that. And she doesn't realize it yet. But give it 10 years. Get her to the age of a Michelle Obama. Get it to an age of that. And you'll find out real quick the mistake she's truly made. And how men do not respect her. They only pay lip service to her. And that she is outwardly being rejected by men that she thinks that she has all access to. No, they're not. The men see her as a jump off. Men see her as a way to get over the rough patches, if you know what I mean. The rough patches. And it's such a shame. For a lady of such worth, of such talent, of such supposed value, that she's now being treated as a trampoline. Let's continue.
Very full, just robust life. So it's not just age, it's like life
It's Cap.
experience and sort of a difference. But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous?
There's that.
But a lot of men my age are
That's Cap.
steeped in a toxic masculinity and have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks.
Yeah.
And anything that
Oftentimes when they're talking about a particular way a relationship looks, they're looking at the feminine role. Every time and every woman you talk to, they're going to have an opinion of what the man should do. I guarantee you in her ideal man, she still wants him to protect. She still wants him to provide. She still wants him to make a decent amount of money to contribute to her lifestyle. But when they say that they have an issue with how the men look at relationships, usually they have an issue just with what the men expect in terms of reciprocation. If you're a man and you're paying all the bills in your house, in modern terms, you shouldn't expect for your woman to also do majority of the domestic labor, or you're a bad man. So usually when they're talking about gender roles that they don't want to follow or not having to follow gender roles, they're never talking about the male role. They still want you to protect and provide, just like we always have traditionally. Oftentimes, they're just talking about women not having to do anything to reciprocate via the female role. And that's what she's talking about here. She's talking about men of the past used to have expectations for their women. Now men don't have expectations for what a woman should contribute to a relationship.
or it's just smell.
Very good, very true. And you know who I blame for that? I blame her mother and father. I blame her mother. Well, her mother was. Here's the thing about Diana Ross. I mean, she grew up a totally different way. She was an entertainer. She was one of the bedrocks of soul and rock and roll music. She lived a different lifestyle and never gave her child the sort of foundation she needs to be a wife. She never did. I mean, she married many times herself. But eventually she did marry. She did marry for years, of course, in an interracial marriage. But again, she was a wife. She was a wife, to be fair, and I believe she's still married to this day. But she never did. She never did pass on those ideals, those truths, those sort of sound pieces of advice to her daughter, who grew up wild, who grew up free, who grew up thinking that her sexual exploits were currency, but they aren't. And where was her father in her life, who helped her choose a man in the first place? I believe he wasn't there either. So again, I think it's a failure of the parents that Tracee Ellis Ross is left in this condition. But again, she lived in a Hollywood bubble where a lot of rules we take for granted are usually left to the wayside, and they're not given proper foundations. They're allowed to live as they please, and quite simply, that allowed her to forego social mores and see masculinity as being toxic, and seeing traditional gender roles as being as being too confining a space that she could not exist in. And so when she was left outside that space and she was left to act like a man, there's no glory in that. There's absolutely no glory in that. There's absolutely no glory in that. And so I do indeed blame the parents for this. And you know what? Men see a woman like Tracee Ellis Ross a mile away. Once they get to know her, once they see her movements, once they see her machinations, yeah, they see her as a good time girl. Get her out of there, get her moving, get her gone. But she thinks that she reaps the benefits of said relationship when you don't. That is when your relationship, for the most part, and you as a person are seen as a jump off. You are yourself seen as no better than a lady of the night, just with a bit more money. Let's continue.
Of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, I don't
know if you ever seen a surprise. Don't know if you've ever seen a surprise. The way you carried on, believe me, you were never a prize. If you were a prize, you would have been taken in by some man. But men got wind of you, got wind of your ideas, got wind of your of the way you did things, your modus operandi, and they wanted to split. They wanted out of there. They didn't want any part of you. Tracee Ellis Ross. Let's continue. Shout out to my man King Onan. What up, my man?
I have no interest in it, and I will not do it again.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're less of a possession. You're a possession in marriage, but you're less of a possession when a 22-year-old just shoots up the club because you're 52 and you can't have children anymore.
And that's a good part. That's a good thing about Tracee Ellis Ross. That yes, indeed, you can do whatever you want to do. Your semen could go anywhere it wants to go, and you're not affected. There are no consequences. Let's continue.
Less of a possession in that scenario, of course.
I was gonna say
this is modern empowerment.
Yeah, and remember, that's one of the 3 pillars. Her youth, beauty, and fertility are gone. They are literally gone. She's in her 50s now. No man's coming for her, and she's going to have to buy her own drinks, and she's going to have to seek her own men, and she's going to have to pay their bills in order to sleep with her, to give her the gratification she wants. And she doesn't understand that that's a L. It's a big old L. Let's continue.
So it's a generational thing. So it didn't matter how you met them, or is it just kind of the guys you're meeting?
That's obviously
too big of a generalization.
It's a generalization, but because I have dated men my age, there is a difference. There is an openness that occurs with a younger man around whether it's gender fluidity or not even
She's
having.
Basically saying she values young men for being more like women. And this is what they want from you, young men. This is why all of the programming tells you to be pretty much gay. They want you to behave like a woman or you're not a man. That's what they'll tell you, at least. They want young men to become women. And you have to be careful of this, even if you have a young boy in the school system, because if your young boy in the school system does not behave like a woman or a girl, meaning he's 7 years old and he can't sit still for 8 hours, they want to try to get him on drugs or try to act like he has behavioral issues, when really he's just a young boy, and they don't understand the difference. So she's basically saying she values younger men for being more feminine, essentially.
Issue with homosexuality.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. And I value this video from Poor Man Podcast, and he's absolutely right. These women want feminized men. These women want gender fluid men where women are wearing the pants of the relationship. They are controlling the sides of the relationship. They want cucks. They want men who are blue-pilled to the bone, if not feminized. And she realized that when a real man steps in the room, they're not gonna accept a woman like Tracee Ellis Ross. They're not. So any facsimile of a man where she can control the boundaries of that relationship, That's what she's accepting right now. But she knows in her heart of hearts, any high value man worth his salt is going to see a woman like Tracee Ellis Ross a mile away and see her as for recreational use only. That's it. For recreational use only. And that's the long and the short of it for Tracee Ellis Ross. That's where her life is leading her to be. And so when she is, when she has a certain type of man that she is going for. Young, not fully formed, slightly feminized, and willing to allow Tracee Ellis Ross to hold the reins of the relationship. That's what she's going for. That's her market. She doesn't want older men because older men, well, I don't believe this keep up with her because I'm sure there are many men of her age who can keep up with her, including myself. But she doesn't want those type of men because she can't control those type of men. They're of a certain mindset, and she realizes that those men cannot be ruled. She wants the young, she wants the impetuous, she wants the feminized, she wants the men that realizes that, you know, that aren't fully formed and don't, like she, here's the thing. She wants to be the female Leonardo DiCaprio. She thinks that being the female Leonardo DiCaprio is going to bring her fame and notoriety. But it's going to be the wrong fame, the wrong notoriety that she is bringing. Because no woman wants to be in her place, including the interviewer herself, Michelle Obama. Do you think she wants to trade places with Tracee Ellis Ross? Hell to the no. 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 She lets her tell her stories. She gains some sort of laughter to she gains some sort of levity to it. And she lets Tracee be her, but she'll never want to be a Tracee Ellis Ross. That's why women are sympathetic but not empathetic. They feel sorry for you, but they'll never trade places with you. Let that be known. Let's continue.
Sexuality. I mean, something as basic as that there's times where I'll be, sitting across the table from somebody and just like, what did you just say?
Yeah, what century are you?
Like, oh my God.
Where's your horse and buggy?
Yeah, like, I'm so sorry.
And your bedpan.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Michelle is playing to the crowd here, but she knows damn well she couldn't say that to Barack. She knows she could damn well not say that to Barack. Because as nice as Barack is, this better not be a red table talk. I can say that right now, Michelle. This better not be a red table talk because we've got some news regarding your numbers and they're not exactly all clear. But at the end of the day, okay, let's continue.
For real.
Chamber pot.
Yeah, your chamber pot. Your chamber pot. Like where I'm just like, yeah, this is not a match.
Yeah.
And I have long been past the age where I feel like it's my job to teach somebody or grow them up.
You're long beyond the age of being considered of high value. Long beyond those years, long beyond that page. No. That time is done for you, dear. Youth, beauty, fertility are gone. You are who you are. To try to sleep with any other man to seek some sort of emotion, to seek some sort of control in the relationship, but you're a failure. You're a failure as a woman. There it is. If you can impart legacy unto children, if you can impart your, not be a center of a family unit, you failed. And with all of your airs, graces, advantages that you had as a woman of Hollywood, it's such a shame. An absolute shame that you could not use the huge largesse, the huge advantages, this huge sort of trappings of success that you had and put it to your advantage. King Onan says, when the well is dry, it's time to fly. Yep, that's what she is. That's what most men are. When the well is dry, it's time to fly. Absolutely, get out of there. Get out of there. There's nothing to be seen here. This is only a lady who's trying to well, use your semen as energy, and and that's the long and the short of it, people. She has failed. She has literally failed as a woman, and that is where that is what most men of her age realize. That's most men younger than her realize. That's most men older than her realize. This is a good time, girl. This is a classic cautionary tale. Let's continue.
I'm not interested in. So, but it's interesting. I mean, there's so many different philosophies on dating, and I have come up with mine. I
don't want to teach somebody or grow them up, but you're dating 23-year-old men. You genuinely cannot make this stuff up.
No.
But Kevin Samuels had an opinion on women like Tracee Ellis Ross, and I think you guys should take a look at it because it's very interesting how he predicted these things even just years ago, man. And RIP to the GOAT. Before I play the clip, RIP to the GOAT. I wish the brother was still around so he can give his take on certain situations. But yeah, man, let me roll the clip.
Before we go in there, I told you many times on Talk Live that Kevin Samuels was a soothsayer. Kevin Samuels was a fortune teller. Kevin Samuels was a lot of things that Kevin Samuels had to say 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago are coming true today. Every day. Every single day. And yet, he was, people wanted to dance in his grave. And he said something, and I told you there'd be someone like Mr. Samuels to come and tell Tracee Ellis who she really is. But people didn't want to hear it then, but they're hearing it now. Let's listen into it.
Men are not selecting Tracee Ellis Ross's. Not for marriage. She can still get it. There are a lot of guys who would slay that easy. Would have no problem even being seen with her in public. But would a man that she wants do it? Let's imagine the man that Tracee Ellis Ross would get. Chances are he would be younger. Maybe some up-and-coming young actor. Can you imagine a woman like Tracee Ellis Ross with a 58-year-old CEO of a Fortune 50 company, an accomplishment? No, they needed a completely different woman. And that's the ultimate point. The longer you're by yourself, the less likely you are a good fit for anybody else.
The man said it himself. He knew what Tracee Ellis Ross would end up doing. He knew. He knew she was for the streets. A man like a Denzel Washington, for instance, would never take a woman like that. A man like any high-value man, for instance. A man like Leonardo DiCaprio would never take on a Tracee Ellis Ross. No chance. You know why? Because they know she's a good time girl. And she'll never change. She thinks the world owes her something when they owe her nothing. And they have treated her as she wanted to be treated for the streets. For the absolute streets. And if, listen, if God blesses me with a daughter, believe me, the difference would be clear. And I think for all men, the difference needs to be clear. And you need to show those daughters that, yes, that you are upstanding individuals, but you have to realize who you are. You are a woman. You have a certain amount of time on this earth. You have a certain amount of value unto yourself. And you need, and I believe for most other parents, other than African diaspora parents, they already teach them that. However, what we don't do is follow through to the point where we tell them feminism's a lie. You have a certain amount of time to which to get the man that you want in this life, and you must spend your largesse, your fortune, being a trust fund baby, wisely. There's only a certain amount of time on this earth to get what you want as a woman, and that is when you are young, not when you are old. Not when you are old. Fortune comes to the old who have put in their time as they were young. They got married. They had kids. They had a family legacy. They became the centers of a family. That's when you start reaping the interest and the benefits of being a woman in an older age. Do you think that anyone sees Tracee Ellis Ross a high-value woman right now? Hell no. No, they don't. She may be successful in a career, but men don't care about career. We never have cared about career. That's why we're willing to leave high-value women at a drop of a hat, even though they may be the richest women in the world, if they are seen to be non-cooperative and non-submissive. There it is. We will leave her at a drop of a hat. We do not need the aggravation. We do not want to come back to ourselves. It's as simple as that. And I think Tracee Ellis Ross understands that and realizes that she's only for a certain type of man, and those are those men who don't have the confidence, intelligence, and assertiveness to make their way in the world. Let's continue.
Tonight we were going to talk about high value versus finesse, but this is important. Here's some things, ladies. I'm going to ask you, ladies, especially you women over 35, what are you going to be willing to give up?
That is the question. Thank you to Poor Man Podcast. What are women over 35 willing to give up in order to secure a high value man? What are they willing to do? Like the great man said himself, when you're 27 to 35, it's the final call. When you're 35 plus, you're on clearance. When you're over 40, you're half off. And when you're over 50, you're on clearance. As a woman. You're on clearance. You're in the rubbish bin, and people are see you as a 6 for 1 or 12 for 6. They see you in the rubbish bin. They're trying to pick the values of you out, and they don't want to be in the rubbish bin. They want to be on the aisles. They want to be on the stacks of shelves. But you're not it. Women don't realize that you don't age fine as wine like men do. They don't. They don't. They literally don't. And once women come to grips with that, often enough, it's too late. It's literally too late. So thank you very much to Poor Man Podcast for doing this. We're going to take another view of this through. I was just about to comment. Oh, right. Leo. Yes. Alana BK was just about to comment. Leo DiCaprio. Yes, indeed. There's a difference between Leo DiCaprio and Tracee Ellis Ross. Believe me, there's a huge difference. You get a Leonardo DiCaprio, and still Jeff Bezos' wife looks at him in awe. In his 50s. They're not looking at Tracee Ellis Ross and all. They're not. They're not. And for a Tracee Ellis Ross to cap to that extent is blasphemous and facetious at best. Let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to move on to... let me see what we got here. Yeah, we can do it this way. Well, let's move on here. I think Poor Man Podcast put it best and put it out there. We're going to take a little different perspective here from the one and only Medium Man doing wonderful things in YouTube streets. And he's going to tell you about the advantage of dating Tracee Ellis Ross, quite simply, for men. because there are advantages. There are advantages. So let's get into this here from Media Man, doing wonderful things in YouTube streets. Shout out to Media Man here. And let's get into this. His video, I'm sorry, let's get into that quickly. Tracee Ellis Ross and Michelle Obama prove black women understand age gap dating. They do understand age gap dating. But we're going to take this into the second hour of Talk Live. Do come back, ladies and gentlemen. We've just finished our first hour. Do come back for that second hour with regarding Media Man and his take on this Tracee Ellis Ross debate in a bit. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're going to go into the second hour, ladies and gentlemen, of things. Yes, indeed. Oh, here we go. Let's get into the live and back at it. Yes, indeed. So let's get back into this, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers, as always. And let's get into this video from Media Man. And while he's doing wonderful things in his YouTube streets, ladies and gentlemen, his video, Tracee Ellis Ross and Michelle Obama prove black women understand age gap dating. Something to behold here, just a different take on the subject. And yeah, in Media Man's own inimitable style, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen.
This short clip is and how valuable it's going to be in the future for relationships conversations that benefit men.
Let's get into it, people.
The comments were some dudes talking mess, but listen to what this woman has to say.
So often I date younger men, and a lot of it is because...
Let's stop on that, folks.
Oh my God, we had a...
Listen. This is Tracee Ellis Ross talking to former First Lady Michelle Obama. She has a YouTube channel. They did an interview. Right off the bat, shout out to 4 Extra. She said, I date younger men. Mrs. Obama applauded her. Who does that benefit? Now y'all have a video to point to. You see, when women say that they date younger, women applaud them. Who does that benefit? Y'all asses. So when men say, I date younger women, this is your reference. This is Michelle Obama and Tracee Ellis Ross, 2 black women that are respected in the black community, and you don't think you can use this as a reference point for all of your videos? And y'all sitting there complaining about what she says? This benefits you. How much pushback do black men get for saying that they prefer to date younger women? She just said the opposite in regards to her situation. There you go. Think.
Right now.
Exactly. So what Media Man was trying to say is this. It's that women will only applaud certain scenarios that benefit them. So, well, I don't know what sort of benefit she gets from this. But anyways, the fact that she's dating younger men is of benefit to older women, so therefore women are going to applaud it. When older men date younger women, it doesn't benefit them, so they're going to abhor it. And women usually take out more of the airspace with regards to said conversation, so that's why there is a double standard going on here, but at the end of the day, men win out regardless. You know why? Because men are getting shagged on the younger end, and men are getting what they want on the older end. They'll have their older women when they are younger, and they'll have their younger women when they're older. So this is where men can win on both ends of the spectrum. Now, again, those men, for the most part, will receive the lump sum of the benefits in these relationships simply because, men aren't being shamed in said relationships, and men aren't being tried. How well, men are getting at both ends. A win is a win. A win is a win, quite simply. And men realize that when given the opportunity, they'll take it any way they can get it. And if a Tracee Ellis Ross on the older end wants to give younger men a thing, even though as feminized and as simp-built as he may be, so be it. A win is a win. And on the older end, a win is a win. But he is trying to bring about the double standard. There is a double standard here in that older women doing it to younger men is applauded. Older men doing it to younger women is abhorred because men realize that in order to get a fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive woman, chances are they'll have to be younger. Chances are you're going to have to, you won't have the failings, the bad habits, the lack of pillars that older women don't have. Beauty's still there for younger women. Youth is still there for younger women, as always. And fertility is, for the most part, is always there. You can have a child with a woman there, bring it to term without much complications. And you, being an older man, are able to do that if your sperm is still swimming to a great extent. And most men of a certain age still have sperm swimming to a great extent. But you have to build yourself as a confident, intelligent, assertive man to get those sort of women. But again, so that means hard work. That means building your worth. That means that once you enter the candy store, you can choose any candy you want. Even if you go to the younger aisle, you can get candy as such, even though women within said candy store may throw shade at you. But following the Leonardo DiCaprio advice, it doesn't bother him. And at the end of the day, it doesn't bother most men, if not society itself. Let's continue. Outside of feminists themselves, let's say that.
We had a great dinner, by the way, where across the table, your husband goes, "But why?" And I said, "Well, maybe because I can."
Yes. Again.
How she shamed herself again. Let's let this ride. Let's hear his take.
She just said former President Obama said, "Why do you date younger men?" She said, "Because I can." Gentlemen, why do you date younger women? Because you fucking can. Shut up and stop talking mess about this woman and use it. Damn. Why I got to explain this to grown-ass men in the chat?
No. Well, here's the thing. It's shame to be a woman of this age in this certain possibility. But again, media man is seeing the advantages of being in a in said scenario and just take the win. Literally, media man is saying take the win, however you can get it. If a woman of a certain age is giving you a certain amount of sexual exclusivity or sexual or the sexual advantage by being an older lady and sleeping with a younger man, take it for what it's worth. Use it to your advantage. And I think that's what Media Man is all about. It's all about seeing advantages and taking said advantages for yourself as a younger man. And that's fine, but at the end of the day, do you want to be with this woman long term? Hell no.
Oh man, look at her. That's all she can get. Shut up.
This is what I'm saying. Tales from Tracee's. It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, as I said, Michelle Obama may laugh at what she's doing, but she'll never want to be where she is. She'll never want to be where she is. Michelle may laugh and says, "Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, it's so good that you can do all these certain things." But at the end of the day, would she want to trade places? Hell no. Women are empathetic, but not sympathetic. Let's go. Sorry, women are sympathetic, not empathetic. Let's go.
Tracee tale. But I'm sorry. But one of the reasons, though, that because I had to ask myself that question, I was like, "What is this about?"
Yeah.
Because I want a partner, and so often, and it's not just
read what we have here on Talk Live. A partnership. This man is my partner. 5 key points. Clear definition. Independent, meaning that she wants to be her own woman. This type of relationship is conditional. Conditional that this man is able to seek, can do his job as a man, if not a high value man, meaning confident, intelligent, assertive, be earn $100,000, have the rule of six at your disposal. Be 6 foot tall, have a six pack, have 6 inches or more, and have a six-figure salary. That is where the common basis of being a man is. Women won't tell you that, but that's what they want. Well, they've told you that overtly. Literally told you that overtly. Perception of relationship equality. They want to have this level footing. Does it conform to gynocentric society? Hell yes, it does. Being a partner means still being independent, yet being having your own choices. And at the end of the day, it's I'm just gonna clear this here. Business mutually beneficial in nature. Both lead, both follow. Two leaders. There's never been an organization that has two leaders that has gone too far in society. Usually they're good for small business but the more successful you are, then you tend to part ways over time. I mean, very rarely does partnership survive a good long time. Although my father has been in partnership with his business colleague for 40 years. But again, he's a small business, but he worked himself to a middle-sized business. But again, it hasn't had radical amounts of success. But again, they've built a good life to themselves and their families, and quite simply, that is seen as success in and of itself. But that is what a woman wants. They want a partnership, not a leakyship. They want to be seen as two leaders. That's why I'm saying this whole high-power couple deal, that's what this points to. And quite simply, it doesn't work. Because a woman wants a man who's bigger than her, stronger than her, worth more money than her. She's dating gynocentrically. She's dating with a view of having the man be having the man pay all the bills while she is able to do what she wants. And in that way, she wants a traditional man. But as a man of set ilk, it really doesn't. Really doesn't bode well for said relationship. It really doesn't. They're not the relationships that last long. So, let's continue.
That I'm older, I'm also very embodied. Mm-hmm. I am a full, very whole person who knows myself, who is in charge of my life, and who lives.
Well, she's in charge of her life, yeah, but who does she have to share it with? No one. So she's alone. She's a failure. Let's move on.
It's a very full, just robust life. So it's not just age; it's like life experience and sort of a difference.
Okay. Now, real quick, she said she wanted a partner. I have an article up here where about 2 years ago, she said that she wanted a partner. She laid out the type of dynamic that she wanted. That's going to be tough for an older woman to find because there's not many older men that are looking for an equal partner relationship. 50, you make decisions, I make decisions. No, head of household, God, man, wife, kids. She don't want that shit. She said that she wants a partnership. Now, there are some men out there that will subscribe to that. Okay? But not many. She understands what she's up against and she's willing to wait. Hell, she's been waiting this long. So she good. It is what it is. Now pay attention to...
Yes, she's good with what she is, but at the end of the day, she'll end up losing because of it, because there'll be no one there to celebrate her birth, death, whatever. Well, her death. Maybe a friend or two, but maybe a caretaker or someone who's employed by her. But, yeah. There'll be no children. There'll be no legacy with which she'll be left with. There'll be no one to carry on her name. No one. No one. She'll be a cautionary tale. Now, if she wishes to do that, so be it, but let's get that straight. Let's not give empowerment to those who truly are undeserving it because of her choices. Let's continue.
What's she about to say about older men?
But I had to ask myself the question, why? Why does this keep sort of coming up other than they're hot and gorgeous?
There's that.
But a lot of men...
Look, again, God, dog, it's just the total reverse. It's an inverse situation for guys. She said, why do I date younger men? Because they're young and hot. Why do older men date younger women? Because they're young and hot. There you go. Gentlemen, do you understand now? And the reason why this is important is because, like I said, these are two black women that other black women look up to. They're saying this. So now you guys have a reference point. Y'all didn't say shit when Tracee Ellis Ross was saying that she date younger men because they're young and hot. Now that such and such is dating a younger woman, y'all got a problem. This is you telling the black community to fuck off. Okay? This is your reference point. Shut up about what black men are doing. And let's stop acting like black men are out there searching for younger women. Our men in general are searching for younger women. Every damn podcast is a young ass woman talking about they want to date older because older men got resources. They are actively hunting older men. And it's up to that man to entertain those young ass women. So don't sit there and act like these men are, waiting outside of the college looking for these types of women. No, they hunting these older men.
Right.
So shut up. Now I'm talking to the black community. And listen to what she's saying.
Absolutely. And this is that is the dichotomy. That is the double standard we have here. A woman who's seeking a younger man is empowered. An older man seeking a younger woman is not. He's vilified because he realizes that he is of a certain value where the man controls the stakes. And if women, even though they may not have the hegemony in terms of the argument, are going to tend to be the loudest, and usually the empty vessels are those who are the loudest. And so we are here speaking on a lady who, quite simply has lost it in the dating game, and giving her kudos for doing it. But then again, that is female kind, and so be it. But at the end of the day, men should not be criticized for their choices because women are doing the same. That's exactly what Media Man is saying here. If women are being championed for choosing younger men, even though these younger men won't stay, and there's only a certain finite amount of time in which these women have to take advantage of said situation, yeah. Far be it from us to intrude on said ideas, but she has failed as a woman. She's literally failed as a woman because she has failed to use her youth, beauty, and fertility to her advantage, which is creating a legacy for herself and her family, and a family that she has created on her own. But she has taken this route, and we've already discussed it. It's part of being part of a Hollywood bubble in which the mother is not necessarily in the child's life, and she's allowed her child to seek her own choices and buy into the feminist narrative, and not realizing that her time with her fortune is finite. Let's continue.
My age are steeped in a toxic masculinity.
You hear what she said? Listen.
Of men my age are steeped in a toxic masculinity. And
so she said men her age are steeped in toxic masculinity. What do men say about older women? Toxic femininity. They stuck in their ways. They not willing to change. Younger women, you can still mold them and guide them. They're open to learning new things. But an older woman, she's set in her ways. She ain't changing. Listen to her how she explained this. Hold on.
Have been raised in a culture where there is a particular way that a relationship looks. And anything that starts to smell of that for me, I did enough of it where I was controlled and felt like I was a possession or whatever those things were, or prize, and I have no interest in it. And
see, so she's basically saying the older men, the men her age, are for traditional relationships. The man is the head of the household. She don't like that. She don't want that. She not willing to change. She telling you everything you need to hear. That y'all can use this as a reference point. So that's why I'm saying I don't understand the pushback when y'all are getting a prime example of what you've been saying. I've been listening to guys saying that y'all get pushback every time you say you want to date a younger woman. You're going to do what the hell you want anyway, but this is just a reference point that you can use when you get into a conversation with women who oppose you dating younger women. So she's saying, I don't want that. And older and younger men, the ones that she's dating, they don't care what this woman talking about. They don't care that she talk, well, you're just so nice. You're so open. And those younger dudes are like, yeah, taking off their clothes. They don't care. Of course they're going to be accommodating because they're about to sneak in with Tracee Ellis Ross. So why would they give her any pushback? You know what those younger men are probably doing? They shutting the fuck up. And they getting what they want from this woman. She didn't say marry a younger man. She said dating. They don't mind that shit. Tracee Ellis Ross is still attractive. She's still in shape. She still work out. Why wouldn't the younger man sneak in?
Oh, boy. Well, again, Media Man is taking this from a perspective that a younger man should take advantage of an older woman like this. And a younger man should do that. But again, this younger man tends not to have traditional values. But at this time, you're there to get a nut. And if you can get it from an older woman, so be it. A win is a win. So go get it. Go get it. Do what you need to do. But realize what she is. She is not one for a long-term basis, and her age denotes that. Everybody knows who she is. Everybody knows what she wants, but let this be a cautionary tale to most women. This could be you. This could be a lot of women of the Gen X / millennial / Gen, well, not so much Gen Z because they're a bit younger still, but of those two demographics, that this could easily be you in a couple of years. You could be learning this cautionary tale unless you do what is necessary in order to keep a legacy alive for generations to come. And if you don't want to, so be it. There's no gun to your head. But realize that you will be designated as a failure as a woman, quite simply, because you did not use what you had at your disposal to your advantage. And not everybody is a Tracee Ellis Ross. Let that be clear. Not everyone can be a sugar mama choosing young men for any length of time. Do not have her. She has a modicum of beauty. Lord knows she's a Hollywood star, but again, there's nepotism involved in that. But anyways, the fact of the matter is she has talent. She has certain virtues about her that are good for a moment, but not for a long time. And that's why men tend to stay away from her, and young men will tend to stay away from her in time, as long as they get what they want, which is a nut. Let's continue.
Will not do it again.
It's a generational thing. So it didn't matter how you met them, or is it just kind of the guys you're meeting?
That's obviously it's a generalization.
Yeah.
But because I have dated men my age, there is a difference. There is an openness that occurs with a younger man around whether it's gender fluidity or not even having an issue with homosexuality. I mean, something as basic as that.
Yeah. So she's basically saying the younger men that she's talking to, they have a conversation about homosexuality. I don't give a damn who people sneak in with. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And the same thing that these younger men are doing. She talking about all this progressive shit, this woke shit. And these younger dudes like, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, right here. This is what you want to do. Let me, you want one leg up? You don't even remember when I had my leg up. You know, of course they're going to be accommodated. Yeah. Oh yeah. Really? That's how you feel? Oh man, they're so open. Yes, yeah, they are. And you about to be open. God, dog.
In other words, use said ladies to their advantage. You know, Tracee Ellis Ross has a usage. And that is a jump off. That is a good time girl. Use her to your advantage. Play into her idea. Play into her mystique. She wants to play that, she is, dating all these men and having all these successes and obtaining male success through her and obtaining male success through her conquest. The only way that the only one who benefits from said conquest are men. It's the one double standard that we hold, that we have and hold the most dear. Women will try to cap and say, "Oh, I've had all these men." Da, 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 da. No, there's no glory in this for a woman. There is none. And as Media Men has already pointed out, men have to use that to their advantage. You have to turn around and say, "You know what? You're a good time girl. Let's use you for what you are." And let Michelle Obama have a good laugh about it. Because that's what she is. She is let me tell you something. She is a known lady of the night. For good or for bad, for better or for worse, that's what she is. That's what she wants to be. Fine. Men will use you for what you are designated for, what you designate yourself for. See any comments here? And that is, you're a good time girl, you're a bit of fun, and let it be. And let it be. Nothing else to say about this, nothing else to grasp from this. Let it be, ladies and gentlemen. Men, take advantage of a lady like Tracee Ellis Ross. Because she's there for the taking. If you're in it, well, remember, gotta be in shape. Gotta be confident, intelligent, and assertive. But if you're all these things, take advantage of a lady like Tracee Ellis Ross for a time. But don't stay, because there is nothing beneficial to be gained from a Tracee Ellis Ross. There's nothing else to be gained. Let's continue. Crazy Craig the brother, don't say anything. Well, here's the thing about Craig the brother. Okay. You got me started. I didn't want to say anything, but you got me started. Craig. I don't know if he's a cuck, or he's a simp, or he's basically there to get money. Great comment, Lana BK. He is saying nothing. I'm sure he interrupts, but again, this is Michelle Obama's podcast. He's just there being, holding the leg up, or fluffing the competitors, and I mean, he's there to, keep the conversation going and be the male figure on this podcast. So basically, he's the simp. He's the simp of the conversation. While these ladies, basically, try to tear down men on any end, but Lord knows, men aren't listening. Men of any worth aren't listening. They don't care to listen, except when they want to, have a woman basically give themselves up as good time girls on YouTube videos. Okay, be a cautionary tale. So be it. But Craig has not said anything because he wants to get that check at the end of the day. And if he has to shut up and play the fool and be the simp for said podcast, so be it. So be it. If it is for a check, so be it. But I know if I were on this, if I were open to this conversation, if I had to be on this podcast, I'd be damn sure not be on it. I'll let these two ladies go at it, but I would not be on it. Nope. I would abstain. Because I am diametrically opposed to what Tracee Ellis Ross has to say. But, as Medium said, you have to use these ideas to your advantage as a man. If you want to be a hoe, be a hoe. But, hey, let's use that to our advantages as men of certain value, certain standard. Use her for what she is. Tell her what she wants to hear. Get what you need to get, and get out. Just get out. Let's go.
Times, or I'll be, sitting across the table from somebody and just like, what did you just say?
Yeah, what century are you?
Like, oh my God.
Where's your horse and buggy?
Yeah, like, I'm so sorry.
And your bedpan.
Yeah, for real.
Even though Michelle Obama is a part of this traditional world, which is funny. It's just so funny where's your horse and buggy? Yeah, well, you're a part of that world, quite simply, by being married to Barack. And do you want to change places? No, you don't. So let's not go there, Michelle. Please, let's not go there. Let's go.
Chamber pot.
Yeah, your chamber pot. Your chamber pot.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. That's the cuck part. That's the part that Craig contributes. He's like, yeah. Let me be the simp. Let me add to this conversation. You know, it's for a check. Let's leave it. It is what it is. Let's go.
See, and they having a good old time. They shame the older men for having certain standards about not liking certain things. So they all happy. So the younger men that she's dealing with, they're more accommodating. Like she said, dating. And I'm pretty sure Tracee Ellis Ross ain't trying to marry one of these young men, and they probably wouldn't marry her. Well, probably they would, because she make a lot of bread. But in her situation, she probably wants a man that's at or above her income level because the optics of it. She's a celebrity. So if black women in particular see a black woman, quote unquote, dating down for love, so to speak, they're going to cook her ass. Straight up. If she ever steps on a red carpet with some young Thundercat and he a personal trainer making $75,000 a year, they going to cook the shit out of her ass. And she knows that. Okay? So she going to have fun with these younger men, and she going to continue to date until she finds a perfect situation. It may happen. It may not. It depends on her. Okay? But
chances are she won't. Let's call a spade a spade. Chances are she won't. If she is telling of her sex life, and dating like a man, and telling of her sexual exploits, and any man worth their salt and worth know of a Tracee Ellis Ross and her dealings in Hollywood as a good time girl, chances are she's not going to get that man. Hell no. Chances are it's not going to happen. Let's call a spade a spade. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Because no man worth his salt is going to be associated with a lady who's literally told Michelle Obama of her sexual exploits in Hollywood and beyond. They're not. That sullies their reputation by being associated with the Tracee Ellis Ross. Now that she's put it out there. So no. Chances are she's not going to find, she's going to try to date hypergamous, but she's not going to find that man who's confident, intelligent, and assertive. Hell to the no. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It just simply isn't. And he's right. If she dates someone younger who doesn't earn as much as she is, they're going to cook her ass, absolutely. But like they do with Gisele Bündchen. Gisele Bündchen earns way more than her yoga instructor husband. Well, is it husband or fiance or something like that? But anyways, they are frying her for leaving Tom Brady now that he has this exorbitant contract for being football commentator on Fox. They are frying her. How can you do such a thing? How can you leave such a man? Well, she did it. She thought, "Oh, you're not adhering to me. You're not following my orders to be." No, I put you in this life. I'm going to do what I want with it. If you're going to be dutiful wife, stay around. But if not, so be it. I'm moving on. You can move on. And she did. And guess what? She got fried for it because as soon as she left, guess what came in? That $450 million contract. I'm ready to sign. I'm ready to share it with somebody else. And he'll move on. And listen, Tom Brady is moving on gracefully while Gisele Bündchen is getting fried. Every time Gisele Bündchen is being brought up, every time she's being mentioned, guess what's happening? It's about her yoga instructor, new boyfriend that she left one of the top grossing men in America for. Unbelievable. How stupid could you be? But hey, does anybody want to continue this with the Tracee Ellis Ross? Hell no. Hell no. No. Definitely not. So, I don't believe Tracee Ellis Ross is going to find a woman. A woman. Well, she can try and find a woman. Lord, no. But, Lord, she's part of Hollywood. Anyways, But she's not going to find a man of value that she deems worthy of her time and energy. There's no chance. She's known as a good time girl now. Michelle Obama is laughing at her. She's gone on, gone on shows with Kevin Hart. That's what I'm remembering, with Kevin Hart, and told her of her jazz club gigs where she riffs with other people and leaves. It's a tire fire. Same thing happened with Amber Rose. Yes, she's now a tradcon, but the fact of the matter is that the die is cast. The die has cast. And it's time for her. And Amber Rose knows that she won't find the man of confidence, intelligence, assertiveness, and of worth that she wants. And neither is Sarah Sales Watts, because now they're jump-offs. They're jump-offs. Sorry. It's long and the short of it. Let's go.
Till then, she seems happy. She's okay with her life. She loves where she's at. She's very, she used all the buzzwords that got all the women cheering. So they love this interview. And I don't think everybody even watched the full interview. It's only like an hour on Michelle Obama's page. That's where I got this clip from. People sent me the spiritual word one. No, I went to Michelle Obama's page and watched the whole interview. She is very clear with her thoughts, very clear what she wants from life. And that ain't got nothing to do with men who don't want the same thing that she wants. So that's why these single men, these young men are able to sneak in, because she understands that older men may have certain she's not willing to accept. So she considers that toxic masculinity. And actually, it's the same thing that men say. If you believe in toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, I don't. I just think there's good men and bad women, bad women, good men. I don't care. I'm not labeling it toxic or, masculine or feminine, whatever. I don't care about that shit. But if you believe in it, then you can use this in the inverse. Yeah, I don't deal with older women because a lot of them have toxic femininity.
Okay, we're gonna let that go because he's trying to discombobulate the message, but the message is clear. Tracee Ellis Ross is indeed open to do what she wants, open to do what she sees fit. However, the consequences are clear. The consequences are very clear and there for all to see, and she's going in there eyes open. So all the power to her, but at the end of the day, no power will be bestowed, especially in the long term. As she gets older, she'll realize her mistake. Her huge mistake. But she wants to live life on her terms, so be it. But hey, there's a mistake. There is a definite mistake. Thank you to Media Man. Doing wonderful things in the YouTube streets, as always. Defending black man to the fullest. But again, I want to just get back here to... Let me see if there's anything here from my man MTR. No, it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, we're going to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen. A lot of it goes over the same thing. So let's get back to it. Let's get back to the full cam here. Thank you very much to Media Man. Thank you very much to Poor Man Podcast for putting it out there. Now, again, we're going to end up the show like this. Tracee Ellis Ross is willing to do what she wants to do. She is seeking out younger men in order to have her sexual gratification being fulfilled. But if she thinks she can date like a man, she can't. She literally can't do it. Despite all her riches, despite all her success in her career, she can't date like a man. She can't. And for that, she will suffer a consequence in years to come. As she hits her 60s, as men are hitting their stride, men hit their peak salary in their 60s, quite simply, and usually date younger because of it, she won't be able to do so. She won't be able to date younger. Men will start canceling her out, and she will be ixnayed from the dating market. She will. The only way I could see, and this is play devil advocate here, the only way I could see something happening for her if she dates a man of a certain wealth, of a certain value, who doesn't want to have kids anymore. But seeing her reputation as a good time girl, they don't want to date with her. She's already sullied her reputation. That's why she's a failure as a woman. She's failed as a woman. She's had all the advantages of life and yet did not use it to better herself. Now she's just known as a good time girl. And unfortunately, that's a problem that she'll confront in the years to come. Because when she reaches Michelle Obama's age and she's 61 and she's seen a single, you can see with Vivica A. Fox, most men want to avoid her like the plague. She is literally the plague. And she'll fall into that category. Absolutely will. The younger men that she wanted to date won't want to date her anymore. The legacy that she could have had isn't there. She'll have to buy some dogs and cats to keep away the loneliness. And there she will be, alone, without any children around her, without her being the center of a family. And she'll be left to suffer the consequences. And for that, we have to say, Tracee Ellis Ross is a failure as a woman. Despite the fact that she's living life on her own terms, at the end of the day, those terms are bad ones. And she'll have to suffer for it. She doesn't see it yet, because she's lived in this Hollywood bubble all her life. But believe me, when she hits 60, then it'll kick in. If it hasn't already. If not sooner. Believe me, I've seen many a 50-year-old on TikTok cry at the fact that they didn't choose better as a woman. Didn't get on a man's program as a woman. And for that, she will suffer. She will suffer. So do not use this as a cautionary tale, ladies and gentlemen, because it is not. Well, it is, to a certain extent. It is a cautionary tale, but it's a negative one, not a positive one. It's not a positive one. It is something that we all have to deal with in our older age. We all want legacy. We all want to live on through our children, through our grandkids. She won't get that opportunity because she only saw the here, she only saw the now, she only saw what she wanted. And she didn't want to be a high-value woman. Because she refused to be cooperative, she refused to be submissive. And that's fine. That's totally fine. In this society, that is totally fine. But the repercussions, the consequences are coming soon. And she's not going to like them. Because as the great Kevin Samuels once said, winter is coming. Winter is truly coming, and it comes for all. Especially the likes of Tracee Ellis Ross. Thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. Please use this as a cautionary tale, women, because if you're in my earshot, believe me, there's a consequence to be paid. You may not know it now, but you'll know it soon enough. And the numbers are stacking up. Kotokoshi is a reality for a lot of women. And if you don't get yourselves together and use your largesse to your example, to your advantage as a, mixing things up, as a young lady into your 20s and definitely into your 30s, there are troubles ahead. There are troubles ahead. And you should not follow Tracee Ellis Ross's example. Because she came from privilege. She came from the Hollywood bubble. And that is not your life. You should not use Tracee Ellis Ross as an example. But what men are doing is using Tracee Ellis Ross as a way of getting over. The only advantage lies with men and not with women. Let that be said. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. We're going to end it here on Instagram and soon to be on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow night with another show, so look out for it. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live here in Toronto, and look forward to speaking to you tomorrow night. And good night from Toronto. And thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live here on YouTube. This will be uploaded immediately. And look forward to hearing you in the comments. Please do comment below. I'd love to hear for your comments and on the subject And I hope that women understand that this life is not for them. And the life of Tracee Ellis Ross are to be seen as cautionary tales because, believe me, Michelle Obama would rather be sympathetic but not empathetic. Because what Tracee Ellis Ross is doing is pathetic. And I thank you very